Recording has started.
Thank you. So it's 6:37. Let's just start the meeting. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to CB Freeland News Committee meeting for Tuesday, September 15, 2020. We are conducting the meeting through Zoom tonight, and Linda, my vice chair, she's managing the platform. And as usual, Linda, can you give a brief introduction about the Zoom functions and some guidelines, please?
Okay, I don't have that document, but really I think the thing that people often don't know how to do is how to raise their hands. So you do that by bringing up the participant list, and at the bottom of that list you'll see a little hand, and you click it and that raises your hand. And I believe it's control 6 on a phone. Something 6.
Thank you, Linda.
And
I also want, Linda, can you mute the people who are, would that be okay?
It's probably just me.
Oh, okay. So I also want to emphasize that please use the chat box for check-in and ask technical or procedural questions only. Please put your name, title, and affiliation in the chat box because we always keep a record of attendance. Do not use the chat box to share your point of view or discuss any issues. I understand it can be very tempting to do so, but please just do not do it or you will be removed from the meeting. This is a CB3 policy. And I also want to emphasize that everyone who wants to speak should raise their hands first and get recognized by the chairperson. This is just to maintain the order of the meeting so we can move it better. Thank you. I see people are already checking in. Thank you so much for that. So tonight, our first item on the agenda is to approve the minutes for our August meeting. And Michael, can you please do a roll calling to see if everyone approve, oppose, abstain, present, not voting, at the same time, take the attendance, please?
Sure. Jackie?
Yes.
Linda?
Yes.
Thank you. Michael? Yes. Dominic Berg? I don't think I saw him. Okay, well, Mark is absent. Jonathan Chu?
Yes.
Thank you, Jonathan. Herman Hewitt? Is Herman here? Mark is absent. Trevor Holland?
Yes.
Thank you, Trevor. Lisa?
Yes.
Thank you, Lisa. Olympia Kazi?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you, Olympia. Damaris Reyes?
Yep, I'm here.
Thank you, Damaris. Troy Velez? I don't think I saw him. Okay, Steve Herrick?
Yep.
Thank you, Steve. And Tim Laughlin?
Yes.
Thank you, Tim. We're all set.
Yep. So the next item on our agenda today is 70 Mulberry Street update. So I'm going to give you a quick overview and followed by committee and public sessions. So I'm the official rep of CB3 to the 70 Mulberry Street Advisory Committee created by DCAS. The advisory committee is comprised of DCAS and all the local elected offices, including Congress Lady Nydia Velasquez's office, Senator Kavanagh, Assemblywoman Neal, Borough President Gail Brewer, Councilmember Chin, CB3, and also the 5 tenants from 70 Mulberry Street. First, I would like to start, I want to revisit our CB3 position on this issue and also share with you the current status of the site. So Linda, could you pull up the document file I sent you earlier? Oh, Linda, I think you are mute.
Yes. Hold on, I just have to move this
Okay.
to the other screen where it can be seen. And well, you will, I'll share. All right,
Yep.
okay.
Okay. So, all right. So we have a long CB3 resolution on this issue, and I just extract 4B resolve clauses that is applicable to the current development. And the first two clauses talk about we want the WILCAS to start a community engagement process immediately, and that should allow the tenants, the prior tenants of the building, residential neighbors, elected officers, and community board free to participate meaningfully in this process. And the third clause is to talk about we want DCAS to expedite the reconstruction of the building, and hopefully the building can be reoccupying within 3 years. And the last clause is that we want DCAS to continue to demolish the building until it reaches ground floor. At the same time, we want DCAS to hire an independent engineer company with historic preservation background to conduct a structural inspection and also historic inspection. And that is the requests that we made at CB3. And then the next, I would like to show what you have right now. Linda, can you show the photo, please?
Photo, yes, I can, I think. Just takes a moment to open up photos on this computer.
Thank you, Linda. Right, and this is the, wait, let me see.
Are you seeing it?
Yes, I can see that. Thank you, Linda. And this is the current site. As you can see from the photo, DCAS has already stopped the demolition. Actually, I think they stopped the demolition since June. But DCAS actually stopped at the second floor instead of ground floor as we asked. And you see the tower on the left side. That tower is just the staircase, where the staircase is located. And from the town hall, DCAS hired an engineer company to conduct an inspection, and the report was shared with the public. However, the report did not include the preservation side. So so recently, all the elected officers, including Margaret's office, Governor's office, Yulin, Borough President Gail, they all sent a letter to DCAS and asked the DCAS to conduct a preservation report. But the DCAS responds that they want to wait until the engagement document is completed, the engagement process is completed, and then decide what to do. They want to know what the community visions first. And I remember at the previous land use committee meetings, I think it was Olympia, you asked whether you think that the committee, the advisory committee should add preservationists to it, and the advisory committee had discussed this before. In fact, it's not just the preservationists. There are other Chinatown organizations who also expressed their desire to join the advisory committee. So problem is that DCAS would have to decide like which group to include in the advisory committee and which group not, which may complicate and delay the process to hire the engagement consultant. But we will make sure that the preservationist opinions are also included in the engagement. And speaking of the engagement consultants, so you know like many preservationists and also other community members are aware that DCAS was hiring a engagement consultant, and they just made an announcement today that a firm has been contracted to do the job, and the name is called 3x3. There's a press release, and I'm sure you can find more information about it online. But today is just the first day, so I don't have much detail to share with you about the engagement yet. But as a community board, we want to make sure that the firm reach out to as many stakeholders in the community as possible and find out the prevailing opinion. And so far, they said this process should take about 90 days. However, I also have a feeling there may be a delay because it's government job. And speaking of opinions, you are very familiar with Lower East Side Preservation Initiative and Think Chinatown and a few other groups. They constantly come to community board meetings to testify and advocate to preserve the current structure. But there are also other groups from Chinatown, such as Chinese Consolidated Benevolent Association. They have over 100 years of history in Chinatown. They own properties, and many local residents are their members. They also send us letters asking future development to include affordable housing. So the two opinions are somewhat like conflicting. And what I told everyone is that just to stay tuned for the engagement and participate in it. And the advisory committee is not just made up of the 70 Mulberry Street tenants, but also elected officers, CB3, and we will make all possible effort to make sure that everyone's voice is heard. And so far, that's all I have. I'm gonna open up to committee session. And you can ask, committee members can ask questions or make statements. Just remember that I don't represent DCAS. So I understand this is a passionate subject, but I may not have the answers or information you'd like to hear. I'm just sharing with you what I know. So committee members.
So I have my hand up.
I'm sorry, yeah.
So I was going to just say, I was under the impression that we had asked for them to come in front of our committee, and it was not supposed to happen then right next month, but the month after. But I think we haven't seen them again, have we? Sorry, it's the COVID months passed so quickly. Shouldn't they be coming to report instead of you?
I think that is a good point. Your point is taken. I think we're going to reach out to DCAS to see if they can come to land use to report. Michael?
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, so I was just wondering, that staircase in that photo, when we talk about demolishing it to the ground floor, does that include the staircase, or is the staircase staying? I'm not sure if you know the answer to that. And then, yeah, I guess that's my main question right now.
So when we asked DCAS, like I'm going back to our own wrestle, we asked DCAS to demolish until ground floor. So originally our goal was to make sure that at least ground floor was not demolished. And instead of but then DCAS, instead of doing that, it actually stopped at the second floor. And the whole tower I think it's a whole structure. So I don't have a solid answer for you, but I'm guessing the whole tower is a staircase. So if you have to remove it, you have to remove the whole thing. You cannot just remove part of it. That's what I'm guessing. I could be wrong, but that is what I am thinking.
Okay, and then just to follow up, so basically there's not, no real substantive decisions have been made other than hiring the engagement consultant, and that was because DCAS wants to engage the community before making any changes from what we've heard previously at other committee hearings?
That is correct. So DCAS basically stopped the whole project. They want to, the decision will be made after the community engagement process, after the consultant finish their report.
Okay, great, thank you. And I just want to maybe hear, I'm sure, I know there are lots of the tenants signed in right now. I just want to hear from them to see if they're concerned, because I know there was a concern about the possible delay of all of this, and I just want to, hear from them and see what they have to say about, just timing, just because I know it's really vital that we get them back as soon as possible. Thanks.
Thank you, Michael. When we open up to public session, I would make sure they have a chance to talk about their concern. Colin?
He's not on the committee. Lisa?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Thank you for Linda. I'm sure you have a question.
Sorry, Carlin, but Lisa is waiting, so.
It's okay. How come I cannot see the hands?
You don't see the participant list?
Let me see. Okay. I'm sorry, Lisa, you go ahead.
Yeah, first I just want a clarification. When you said they've stopped demolition now at the second floor and the staircase, they are not going to proceed any further with demolition until the community engagement process is complete. Is that your understanding?
That is my understanding. Okay. We also have certain other members of the advisory committee in our meeting tonight. If something I said is incorrect, please correct me. But I think that is my understanding, Lisa.
And then my question is, I guess I'm really concerned and confused about why they couldn't go ahead and engage a preservationist to go through the building in the meantime, so that information could be available when the community engagement process is underway. It seems like just having that study doesn't do anything but allow for more informed consideration by the community group. I think it's a mistake to wait the 90 days. I think it does, both detracts from the information available for people while they're making these determinations, and B, slows down the process. Our board took that position that we want that, and I don't see any reason why we wouldn't go ahead and insist on them doing it.
I don't oppose you on that, Lisa. In fact, all the elected officers are with you. That's why they sent a letter to DCAS to push for that. I think they probably going to continue to do that, and we'll be part of it.
And we will be part of it. CB3 will push for that as well. Is that what you're saying?
Well, CB3, if so we want to know what, this we have to discuss with other elected officers as well to see if they are also following up on that. If they do, then we can be part of it.
And if they don't, we should do it on our own. That was our vote. We probably should,
yeah. I mean, I can raise that in the next meeting too.
I mean, we could have it as of today.
We could, yes, but yes, we could have a result today if we really want to. I just think that we want to wait until, I mean, I want to have another round with discussion with the elected officers first. That's, Linda?
Sorry, I can't raise my hand the normal way.
That's okay.
Because I'm the host. Yes, I just want to support what Lisa said. It makes no sense to me that they just don't get on with the preservation assessment And that would be information that would be input to the community engagement process. Why wait until afterwards? You know, it doesn't make any sense at all, because presumably the community engagement people will want to know what the options are, and you know what the costs are, and what the time frames are. All of that depends on the preservation assessment.
I'll bring that point to the committee meeting.
Thank you.
Yes, in fact, like I said before, other advisory committee members are also present tonight. I mean, probably not all of them, but I saw some of them. So your point is well taken. We are aware of this request, and I think this is a very legit request, and this is also our board's position. So I'm gonna like try to push for that in the next committee meeting.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Olympia's hand is up.
Olympia.
Now it's down.
Oh.
No, I'm trying to raise it, but
Okay, consider it
so I
raised.
just I wanted to ask so that I understand, just because we know how difficult it is timing wise, you know, we're going to have our next meeting in a month, and there is all these issues of putting things on the agenda. Today we have it on the agenda, and I mean, just restating what we need, I think the fact that DCAS didn't actually show up, even though we asked them to constantly come in our committee, or as soon as, you know, as frequently as possible, the fact that there is this hiring of this engagement company that we know, by the way, these engagement companies in the past, when they were involved with land use projects, sometimes they were not really very effective. I mean, I'm all for engagement and participation, but we don't know how meaningful it will be. And so I feel there is an urgency for us to, you know, articulate these things that you are brought up today in a you know, simple reso. Because I don't know if we wait one more month and we have to put it again on the agenda, and you don't know what's the agenda next month. And I think there are important issues here, including the fact that, you know, this, it's not clear to me, even though I send all these things and end all these things, what is the role of this advisory council as opposed to the community engagement, who's qualifying, and, you know, all this kind of stuff. So just restating what we think is the minimum basic, them coming in front of a formal community meeting to talk about what they're doing, and them engaging the preservation engineer to evaluate the options. I think it's the right way to go.
I would rather like try to talk to the committee, advisory committee, and DCAS first. And in fact, talking about if we really want to do it in the next month, the agenda, we can make the agenda possible. And on this issue, I communicate very closely with Linda. And if we think that it should be on the agenda for a result, then I think we can do that. But I just feel like I want to like do some more background search and also discuss with, try to push DCAS to do it one more time, and also talk to other elected officers first. That's just my own opinion. But if
Also,
other people feel
Jackie,
like,
you might remind people, it's not proper to do a resolution when it wasn't on the agenda that we were going to do that. This is just an informational presentation.
yeah. Thank you, Linda. Thank you. And also Victor, Victor Hewitt, just want to remind you that the chat room, you cannot use it to talk about your point of view. I understand this is something you want to talk about your opinion, but we don't want the chat room to become a second discussion. Just, you know, be mindful about that. So committee members, if you don't have further questions, I want to move to public sessions. Thank you. I'm just gonna go by the list. Colin.
Hold on. Okay, you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I would agree with Linda and Lisa and everyone. the contractors who did the demolition is coming back in about a week or so to put a cap on the second floor, because right now there's no cap on it, and we're not concerned about the inside, but the walls are exposed to the elements. We've had a lot of rain in the last month and a half, so they're coming back, I understand, within the week to put a cap on the building. Right, since they are going back into the building, isn't it prudent for us, for CB3 and the elected, to allow an independent structural analysis of the building? This way we have their report, and the advisory committee, whoever may be on it, can make an educated, can proceed, with the preservation report, and you have a better understanding on how to proceed. You also have a timeline of whether to rebuild, save the facade, rebuild from there, and the amount of the timeline for the building to be completed. The committee does not have enough information to move forward without that structural analysis. I would say, you can write a resolution tonight requesting that. You can draft a resolution from the floor here.
Like I said, Colin, your point is taken. Are you still talking, Colin?
No, I'm finished speaking. I'm done.
Okay, all right. So your point is taken, and because we said this is an information session, so we don't do that. And also, I also want to discuss with other elected officers first before doing that. And but your point is taken. I would have that in our next discussion with DCAS and also the elected officers.
Oh, can I just add something to that quickly? Yeah. All right. Now, I saw a letter somewhere, a reply from DCAS commissioner or one of the deputy commissioners to Manhattan Borough President Gail Brewer's office, where they said they would have to reopen the building, but the building right now is not sealed in any way. I mean, all they have to do is unlock the padlock at the construction gate and remove a piece of plywood to allow the structural engineer in there. It's not that the building was sealed.
I mean, it's really a decision they need to make. I mean, if they want to open up the building, they just open it up and go in. So I don't see there's a big technical problem there. It's really the decision. So, but your point is taken. Thank you, Colin. Next, I want to go to Alan.
Hi, Jackie. I just wanted to follow up on the questions that were posed by the local businesses on those blocks during the town hall. So I think they had asked a question regarding the reopening as well as air pollution regarding asbestos.
Right. The small business on Bayer Street and Mulberry, they raised those two questions in the town hall. So, I mean, for those who actually walk by that area often, you may already know that one lane has already opened up for traffic, like one lane of Bayer already opened up, and also Bowery. And also Mulberry. But because of the open street restaurant program, so some parking spots in that area are taken for outdoor dining, but traffic can still pass through now. So I think the local business should be okay with that setting for now. And in terms of air quality, I actually asked DCAS that question before. So because I remember last time the small business people have concern about asbestos in the air, and so DCAS is not monitoring the air quality now. Is not monitoring it anymore because they said that they are treating these sites as any other site. So if there's no construction going on, they don't need to monitor the air quality. However, if the construction resumes, then they will come back to monitor that. So that's all I have for air quality and open street. Okay. Next, Richard Moses. Richard.
Thank you. Yeah, good evening, everyone. And I just want to reiterate Lower East Side Preservation Initiative support for the preservation assessment. In fact, with all the community support for this assessment, we're really not clear any compelling reason on the part of DCAS to hold back on one. And I just want to say there've been hundreds of letters sent to the city administration, several rallies in front of the building, testimonies, as you all know, at this committee, as well as the joint letter from the 4 local elected officials. And, you know, we don't know why DCAS is holding back on this. There really doesn't seem to be a clear reason. And again, just to reiterate, it just, you know, provides options. It gives you a good cost estimate on what those options are, and gives you a sensible roadmap going forward. And again, we want to reiterate our support for including a preservationist on the committee, also to help develop and weigh options and provide technical input where it's needed. So, you know, we hope that this committee will support that as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Richard. Before I go to Jenny, there's a question posted by CN. CN, like I said before, we don't use the chat box to post opinions or comments, but I'm just gonna quickly answer that question, since I think a lot of people actually also wanted to know. So the city's position, we are not sure if city has a position now. So for the advisory committee meetings that I went to, the city just told us that they stopped the demolition right now. They are not moving on with the demolition until after the engagement process, and the decision would not be made until after the engagement reports comes out. So right now is really nothing going on, and whether they want to preserve the building or demolish the building or any future development would depends on, I guess, the outcome of that engagement report. And that is the answer I have right now. So next, Jenny.
Thanks, Jackie. So I'm glad to hear that they are stopping the work at the demolition and promise to engage the community, right? So my question is, how are they engaging the community? What is the schedule? What is being done? Because based on past experience, in recent past experience, the mayor is not very good about transparency, and like we need to make sure that we hold them accountable to have scheduled sessions in terms of the engagement. What does that mean? I mean, it's easy to promise, and you just mentioned that they won't do anything until the report is done. But we don't want to wait too long unless we don't if we don't make sure that they schedule time and session with the what is considered the public engagement. And if the advisory committee is the responsible party for engaging, then we would also like, you know, that to be somehow made public, either through the CB3 website or some other forum, so that people know when things are happening.
That is a very good question. Like I said before, today is just the first day of the engagement, so I don't have much detail to share with you. But from the conversation we had, not just with the tenants and the consulting firm, and also all the elected officers, one of a goal or like a major goal we have is to make sure that the process is to make sure that everyone from the community is heard and the process is fair and transparent. In fact, today I remember there's elected officers who emphasized that transparency is important. I don't have detail to share with you yet. However, we would make sure that the process engage all the parties, and also, like I said before, it's not just community board. Like you can also, if you have any concern, you can also talk to your elected officers if the process in any way is not fair or transparent. I don't think they're going to be staying, they will stay silent. So, and if when I have more details about the engagement, I'll share with you. But today, I just don't have all the details yet.
Thank you, Jackie.
Thanks. And next is Susan Chin.
Thank you, Jackie.
Susan.
Hi, how are you?
Very good, thank you.
It's been a long while. And so I'm wearing my preservation hat right now. And also the fact that my father went to PS 23. So, you know, I care a lot about 70 Mulberry. So I would really advocate for the preservation assessment so that you all have the best information in terms of whatever significant building material is left, also how to treat it, and also, you know, the DCAS response depended a lot on Lero's report. And I have to say, after I read it, it seemed very basic. So the types of information that you in the community engagement process need to make, it's really clear that it's lacking. And so how do you convey that to DCAS? That, you know, it isn't just any building material or whatever, that it is much more significant. So I just making a passion plea for you all to have the best information possible.
I'm hearing tonight that a lot of speakers are advocating for that preservationist analysis, that assessment. And I hear that loud and clear.
Thank you.
Thank you, Susan.
Yeah.
Next is Amy.
Hi, everyone. I agree with what has been said today. And what I really want to talk to is transparency. And I feel like DCAS has not been entirely transparent. And I use as an example the selection of the community engagement consultant. Last time when DCAS presented, we had asked if we could get a copy of the RFP, and we were told it was on the website. And then we went on the website and it wasn't there because it was only sent to a limited pre-selected group of consultants who had been pre-approved. Now, you know, this consultant may be fine and then be a fine choice, but then they didn't even give us a copy of the RFP. So, I mean, I use that just as a singular example that the transparency and the community engagement has not been there. And I support Jenny Lowe's suggestion that there be a regular report back. And the fact that DCAS was asked to come tonight, and I guess they declined to come or they didn't show up, is that what I'm understanding? I mean, is yet another example of this lack of transparency and engagement. And I find that really disturbing. They should be giving us a timetable. And I mean, we're not going to hold them to it because we know that schedules change, but they should be giving us a timetable of when things are happening. And as for the advisory committee, I understand the composition of it currently, but at some point it's supposed to be opened up to other voices in the community. So when will that be? And you know, things like that don't just happen on the turn of a dime. People should be preparing. I mean, we don't do tasks in our lives like one at a time, one after the other. I mean, they should be soliciting names now and suggestions as to who should be on the advisory committee. So I find the whole process really disturbing in its lack of transparency and orderliness. And I think the community board should be a little bit more proactive in getting answers.
Amy, just want to, your points on the members of the advisory committee is taken, and I just want to clarify one thing. So tonight, because I'm the rep of CB3 to the advisory committee, I discussed this with Linda. I just want to give what I already know from the advisory committee to the public and also my committee members. However, we are going to reach to ask DCAS to come to the meeting, but we are not in. So this time we actually did not. Just want to clarify that. However, I would try to, but we actually asked them before whether they would come to the meeting regularly, and we didn't get a very strong positive feedback. However, I'll follow up with them to see if there's any way they can do regular updates through the CP3 platform. And Fanny? Fanny.
Hi, okay. I just want to quickly echo everybody's sentiments about this preservation assessment. I mean, the fact that they keep on holding it off and delaying it, I mean, I think everyone, the first thought that comes to my mind is that they don't want to find out what's going to be in that assessment, or they feel that, you know, they're worried about what could possibly in that assessment. And that's why they don't want to do it. And it goes back to transparency. You know, this whole effort from the start has been lack of transparency. And this is just another tactic that they're using to just do what they want and just not involve the community. And I'm just curious also for the CAG, the community group. Have there been like a schedule yet as to how often they're going to meet and how they're going to relate what they have been discussing in the meetings? Like, how are they going to relay that to the public? Is it going to be open to the public? I mean, has that been figured out yet, talked about, discussed, or anything?
I mentioned that before in terms of the details of the engagement. Today is the first day, so I don't have the detail to share with you. I'm sorry about that. But once we have the details, like how to reach out to the community organizations or groups or public, and I'll share with you.
Okay, all right. Yeah, so that's it. That's all I want to say. It's just,
thank you, Fanny.
It's really, yeah.
Thank you. Susan Young.
Yeah. Okay. So this is my first time sort of participating in the Chinatown. It says a advisory committee. Or, I mean, I'm just wondering, how does one become a member of the advisory committee?
Okay. So you want to know the composition of the advisory committee. It is made of the 5 original tenants of 70 Mulberry Street, all the local elected officers, and also committee of 3.
Oh, so I mean,
yeah. No
residents from the local Chinatown community, because I mean there is a process for CAG members to become members, or a process for local people to become part of the consultation advisory committee, because I'm in the Gowanus Canal and I am a member and managed to get on the consultant advisory group, committee, whatever, in the area, in this local area, due to the Superfund that's happening. So I'm just questioning why any other local residents of Chinatown could be part of this committee advisory group. I mean, that's how it becomes more transparent to the local residents.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as opposed to being roadblocking and sitting at meetings to listen to what locals suggest to the CAG meetings. That's not transparency, because I mean, you know, the members you have now are already set up with the mental set up, as I'm hearing now. So I mean, you know, you should probably continue to, I mean, you should probably open up the committee.
Your point is, okay, your point is taken. Thank you. Chris Matei.
Yeah, thank you for hosting this committee. My only question is, can we have DCAS come to a full board meeting and announce a timeline there? I think it'll give them enough time to present what they have in plan for the fall and winter, especially as Carlin mentioned, the elements are going to start playing a heavier influence on what gets preserved and what doesn't get preserved. Can we, at the very least, ask for that?
Yeah, we can ask for that. That's a good point, actually. I mean, there is a timeline. So far we know they want to finish the engagement in 90 days, but in terms of specific timelines about each phrase, I think we can ask them. Yep. Okay, so Olympia, you have the last question.
Thank you. I was just wondering also, given what we heard today, if at the last meeting we have to add this item in the agenda, maybe we should also invite the company to understand, you know, what is the parameters of this engagement, right? Because as Susan suggested earlier, there is a very skewed advisory board right now. And so how does that engagement going to do outreach to make sure, you know, local stakeholders are involved and,
right.
and you know, what is, you can engage people in a meaningful and unmeaningful way. We really know nothing about all this.
Yeah,
and
you're
so
right.
maybe in our next agenda, we can add something around that so that it is a more meaningful thing.
Yeah, I think you have a good point on that.
I agree.
Next is Ed Chin. So Ed Chin will be the last question. After that, I'm gonna try to wrap up. Ed? Ed?
Are you able to hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Hi, I'm a former member of Chinatown Planning Council before it became the Chinese American Planning Council. I'm new to this, so I just want to make a few points and questions. I'm not sure, is there a actual written vision as to what the building, what we want from the buildings? We want it to look like it was just before the fire, or is this an opportunity to make it something more specific, be it a senior center or daycare center or a learning center? I think one of the problems that I'm seeing is that there are probably too many players involved, and many people are getting in the act. And one of the problems is that there's a timeline that's rapidly changing. My recommendation is you should probably, that's a recommendation that you offer to the community the choices that you think that the vision that the planners have as to what they want, get their input, and use that, be it a support to help direct the project. I know one of the difficulties is that a lot of times many groups have their own vision, but by the time this is built, we really need the community to decide whether they want to make it, do they want to return it to what it was just before the fire, or do we want to make it something that will be useful for the community? Those are my only comments.
Thank you, Ed. And I'm glad that you spoke, because it just reminded me of something else, because at the beginning of the meeting, Michael Perlis asked me to make sure that tenants also get a chance to speak, and I totally forget that. So if tenants, tenants means the tenants of 70 Mulberry Street, if you are present tonight, and if there's any point you want to make, please raise your hand. I just totally forget, sorry about that. And in terms of your opinion about visioning, I remember at the town hall meeting, DCAS announced that they mentioned that they want community members to express their desire for this site freely. They don't want you to be bound by zoning or other factors, and just imagine and tell us what you want to see for in the future development. And in our own community board 3 resolution, I think we also, I don't know if I remember this correctly, but Lisa, help me if I'm wrong. I thought we also said that we want to see if we want to expand the possibility of having other community use in that building, but I just have to go back to the rest to confirm. So, but delay looks like, I mean, it is a process, so I don't have much to say about that. It's a process that to engage people, and engagement would take a little bit of time. That's why, like DCAS forecast, this engagement takes 90 days, and I have a feeling it's going to be longer than that. Hopefully it will be on time, but I just not very confident.
If I could just throw out a suggestion in terms of getting the community involved and fundraising. I'm a City College alumnus, and many years ago what they decided to do was supposedly sell a brick for a memory wall, a memorial wall, which you would put your name and the year you graduated. I think they charged maybe a nominal $100. If you were, since we're rebuilding, I mean, I'm sure there are many alumni from PS23 and their families that would like to have some kind of input in terms of leaving some kind of a name or something in memory of people in the past. This would be a somewhat of a, I think, a nice gesture, permanent, and it doesn't cost that much money. And this would also give you leverage in terms of trying to create what the final vision would be, because you'll be able to show that you have the support of the community, and you also have money.
That's a very good suggestion. I don't know how government funding would be used in this project in the future, and how they would need to raise money, but that is a very good suggestion. I'm sure, I mean, I'm sure other elected officers will hear you as well, so we would have that in mind in terms of fundraising. And I just want to remind everyone in the chat room, please do not use that to discuss the issue. Otherwise, I'm going to ask Linda to just switch that to a function that no one can see you. So please make sure that we don't want the chat box to become a side discussion. CN, you are the last one, really the last one.
Okay, sorry, I didn't realize that. We can just simply raise our hands and ask the questions. So I appreciate this so-called informational session, but I think I'm repeating other people's requests, that we really need the city to be much more engaged. And if you can ask DCAS, as I have put in my question here, ask DCAS to update the community. Wait, I can't see it now. To update the community through our community organization, Think Chinatown, that has been doing a really great job in informing community members like myself. to keep me informed about what's going on, and that would be much appreciated. You know, this is our tax dollars that we're talking about. This is our community that has hosted nonprofits in our community for decades. And that's a very vital part of our community of Chinatown. So for the city to do something without engaging the people who use those communities services is outrageous, you know, and we as a community in Chinatown should not be discriminated. And I see this as discrimination if we're not properly, you know, engaged in this process. So I appreciate it if you can let DCAS know that we would like, as a community, and for them to you know, update their information on Think Chinatown's webpage.
All right, thank you. Thank you for your, I take it as a suggestion, and thank you for that. So I'm going to web it
I
up.
have an answer. I have an answer to your question. I found the answer, and you're right. Therefore, we're asking for involvement of the community for programmatic decisions of the building in the future.
All right, thank you. So I'm just gonna write it up. Committee members, do you have any other questions? If not, I'm going to close the meeting. And do I have a motion to adjourn?
Jackie, can I just add
Yes.
people, any people who are signed on to this meeting, if they haven't already, to add their name, just so we have it for the minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
Michael, including the board members? No, you don't need us to
No,
sign in.
I have you, Damaris. Thanks.
Oh, and Damaris, I'm sorry, but this is not related to 70 Mulberry Street. So I'm preparing to reactivate NYCHA subcommittee for October. And Damaris, I sent you an email. Since I have you, please check it and follow up with me.
You sent me an email?
I replied you. You
Oh.
sent me, yeah, I replied you. You said you need to talk, and I replied you.
I'm losing my mind.
That's
sorry.
okay. It's the COVID, blame the COVID. So
Too many Zooms and too many.
Text her.
So,
all righty.
Did we have a motion to adjourn there somewhere? Or?
I move to adjourn.
I
second it.
Thank you. All agree? All in favor?
Oh, we got to take a roll call, Jackie.
Yeah, we gotta take a roll call. Okay, voting to adjourn. Jackie, how do you vote?
Yes.
Linda?
Yes.
Thank you. Michael, yes. Dominic?
Yes.
Thank you. Jonathan Chu?
Yes.
Thank you. Herman Hewitt? Trevor Holland?
Yes.
Thanks, Trevor. Lisa?
Yes.
Thank you. Olympia?
Yes.
Damaris?
Yes.
Thanks. Troy? Steve?
Did you call me? Yes.
Thanks, Steve. Tim? Laughlin?
Yes.
Thank you, Tim. We're all set. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Night.
Good night.
Good night.